What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Between the Lines Sports Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Blair, and this is my other host, Patrick. We're going to switch it up a little bit starting this week. We're going to be dropping 2 podcasts a week. One of them is going to be dropped on Tuesday nights, a little bit shorter than most of our other podcasts. It's just going to be about the Tennessee previous game and then the upcoming game. We found that that's kind of one that we talk about a lot on our other podcasts, because this way would just be a more in-depth one strictly about Tennessee, and then we'll resume our other podcast as normal, and that will drop on Wednesdays. So to start it off, we'll talk about the Tennessee-Florida game. What do you got?
Not much. I mean, it wasn't pretty. Not how I expected it to go. I mean, I thought that it would be tough. I wasn't expecting it to be just some kind of lay down like a lot of people were thinking, but thought it would be a lot more competitive than it was. Just was disappointed with the way the defense played. The offensive line really got pushed around too. So there's a lot of things that went wrong. Just a bad game. Hopefully it's just a one-off, but a lot of things to improve on, a lot of things to maybe just flush to. I mean, there's no doubt that once the defense started switching it up in the second half, playing a little bit different and blitzing, bringing a little bit more pressure. And when they started doing that, I mean, they're able to successfully get some 3 and outs and things that they weren't able to do in the first half. It's just a completely different game, honestly. Didn't expect it to go that way, but having watched Tennessee play there the last 20 years, not really surprised that they lost or that it went that way, really. It's just a place that Tennessee just can't seem to figure out a way to win at.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I knew it would be tough, but I didn't. Even if we did lose, I didn't expect it to be in that way. Over the last few years, it's kind of been Georgia making some bizarre plays that are really difference makers, and then this past week, I feel like we kind of did it to ourselves. I mean, if you take that first half away, and I don't know, even if we played the same way, if we started the second half or first half how we started the second, I think that whole outcome of that game is different. We started out good on offense, and then that was really the only thing real positive from that game. Defense didn't have their best game at all, so that's the worst I've seen them play this year so far. You can talk about Austin Peay, but they didn't give up the points like they did against Florida. So, they can either learn from it and grow from it, or they can wear it on their back all day long and let it haunt them, or they can move on to the next one, still have a chance at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that we really got spoiled last year with Hendon. I mean, there were some great players that really, I don't know, their careers kind of took off because of Hendon. I mean, you think like Jalen, if he didn't have the perfect quarterback to hit him on those deep balls and just with the accuracy that he had, I mean, Hendon was, I mean, since I've been keeping up, 29, since I've been watching, Hendon's by far the best quarterback that I've seen cognitively. I mean, Peyton played at UT when I was like 3. So, I mean, I don't remember that. But Hendon, yeah. He's just different. So to expect Joe to be that is not fair. And losing a player like that kind of makes you think you're a little further ahead than you were. Because Heupel, what he's done so far is kind of remarkable. He's coached 29 games. We're 20-9. We've been to a bowl game both years. Last year, he won 11 games for the first time since since 2001 when Tennessee won 11 games. So, we kind of got spoiled thinking we were maybe a little bit ahead of where we are supposed to be right now because of the season we had last year. Now, that's not saying I don't think we should still do certain things or at least give better effort and stuff like that. But it's just not going to be a cakewalk like a lot of those games turned out being last year because of how smooth our offense could move. You're going to have to get a veteran seasoned quarterback that can run the offense like that to make it look that smooth. So I'm not really panicked or doing all this stuff that people are about. This is exposing Heupel or the system and stuff like that. Like, we're already way ahead of where we ever thought we'd be. I thought it would take 4 or 5 years for us to consistently make a bowl. And this guy, just with a few tweaks in the way that he runs things, we're competitive right now. The fact that we in his third year were favored by over a touchdown in the Swamp, a place we haven't won in 20 years. I mean, I'm happy with where we're at. I mean, Saturday stinks, but it just is what it is. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's over. There's a long season left. I mean, we could do a few tweaks, get things going, and still make some kind of New Year's Six game or something like that. I mean, I'm not saying I expect it, but there's a lot of different directions it could go, and hopefully it lights a fire under our guys and they get ready to go this Saturday.
Yeah, and like you said, I feel like anybody that I've talked to since the game's been over, with the exception of you and some of our other close friends that kind of feel the same way about Tennessee sports in a nutshell that we do. But just the comparison of comparing Joe to Hooker, it's just unfair. Like Hooker is a special talent. Like I was telling somebody the other day. I said Hooker, you could see him in the pocket and he'll wait, and he'll wait there all day. But he knows as soon as he has to get out, and he'll use his feet and he'll open things up. And since he's able to do that and was so good at it, it opened up so much more in the run game and the passing game. And we talked about it last week. Joe just we haven't seen him do it too much. He's had plenty of opportunities, and we haven't really seen him use his feet. And we know he's fast and he's a big dude. So I don't know. I mean, it's unfair. I don't think he's played bad necessarily. Like he's missed some throws, but we've dropped a lot of passes too, and everybody's treating him like he should be making every pass just because of how good Hendon was, and like you said, it kind of spoiled us. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm not worried about it really too much as far as the year goes. But I mean, like I said, they can either let it haunt them the rest of the year, or they can learn and grow from it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is there's going to be more ups and downs this season. I mean, we're not going to win every game, but we're not going to lose every game either. Like we're still going to be tough to beat at home, because the defense is going to play better. Like it just is. I don't know what happened for Saturday night, but the defense is going to be better, and we're going to be able to run the ball. And getting Cooper Mays back is going to be a big deal. So it's not all doom and gloom. Like we're going to be fine. We just Tennessee's going to be tough to beat at home. The road games are going to be difficult. It's just a tough road season. I mean, you look at the rest of the season, the 3 road games that are left are going to be difficult because those teams are all off to decent starts, or one's Alabama. So it just is what it is. Just going to have to go into each game knowing that it's going to be a battle, and it's just not expected to be like last year. Like we're going to have to find different ways to win and have to grind it out and continue to improve. But I don't see anything that leads me to believe that if we don't make some adjustments and get some things cleaned up, that we can't win all the games that are left.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like if our offense gets clicking, kind of how it was last year. I mean, obviously, we don't have the same type of skill set that we have last year, but I think it's truly a confidence thing. Like, seeing the ball, catching the ball, and Joe having confidence in his receivers, and I don't know. I don't think they're as bad as they're playing, if that makes sense. I think there's
No,
more
they're
to it
they're
than
going to
that.
be fine. They'll get it right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, long season. We're only 3 games in, so don't hit
Yeah.
the panic button just yet. All right. Let's see. This week we have UTSA at home. What were we favored by? What's the line? I haven't seen the line
I
since
think it was like
yesterday.
20.5 earlier today.
Yeah. Yeah. So Um, hopefully it's a big bounce back game. I know we kind of talked about after the Austin P game it being a bounce back game against Florida, but looking back on it, I know I said that at least, but that's kind of tough to do and say because you're going to the Swamp where we haven't won in forever, and so now we're back at home, have a little bit easier matchup. So hopefully we can get some things clicking and get moving. And I think we're getting Cade Mays back. So that'll be, I think that's a big help for the offense, just as far as, controlling the line of scrimmage and getting everybody where they're supposed to be, calling guys out, being that lead guy on the line, what the center does. So what do you got on it?
Yeah, I mean, I wish we were getting Cade Mays back because he's playing for the Panthers, I think. But I'll take getting Cooper Mays back. Just give me a hard time.
Cooper,
But
yeah.
yeah, hopefully Cooper's
Cooper
back this
Mays.
week. If I
Yeah.
mean, if he's back this week, I think it'll fix a lot of things. I mean, it's not going to automatically make the offensive line as good as it was last year. I mean, we lost Darnell Wright, a top 10 pick, and then Jerome Carvin, who got picked up, I think, by the Chiefs, maybe. So these are two guys that are in the NFL. So it's hard to replace those guys. But if you put Cooper back in his center position, it maybe can slide Ollie Lane back over to left guard where he was supposed to start the season at. And we just, I think, be stronger overall, or they can keep
Yeah.
Carrick there or whatever. But getting Cooper back would definitely be a big help. I mean, it's not going to fix every problem, but in our offense, the center and the quarterback are probably the two most important positions, and it really helps the communication. So if we're able to get him back, I think that'll be a big boost. But the game, in all, like you said, it's a big bounce back opportunity. It's good to have this non-conference game after the Florida game. I mean, coming into the season, this was like one of the major trap games people were talking about. I mean, UTSA won 11 games last year. They've won the Conference USA back to back. They've got their 6th-year quarterback coming back. So a lot of people thought this might be one of those games. If Tennessee were to win in Florida, it could be a trap game, things like that. But obviously, it didn't work like that. So I think Tennessee will be super focused. And UTSA hasn't got off to as strong of a start as you would imagined either, because they've lost 2 of their first 3. One, not really a huge surprise, the Houston game to open up, but then last week they lost to Army at home and kind of got pushed around a little bit and dominated. So I don't know. I just, like you said, hopefully this is going to be a bounce back week. I think it sets up good for UT. I also think it's a good thing that UTSA kind of likes to play fast. I don't think that they're going to change how they play, which is going to be good for us because, like against Florida, they're trying to drain 10 minutes off the clock every time they had the ball. And with these new rules, it really hindered how many times we had the ball. And I mean, it could have contributed to us pressing a little bit in the first half with how we were running our offense, because we knew if we didn't pick up a first down or we weren't moving the ball, then it might be one of the only times we touched it. So I think UTSA trying to play fast is going to be a good thing, just because that's how we want to play too. So it might not limit our possessions. I think I looked at UTSA's games. I think they've run over 90 plays in 2 of their 3 games. So that means, I mean, they're moving at a pretty fast clip if they're doing that. Like I said, that'll be good
Yeah.
for us because we need to play a lot of offense. We need to get clicking. We need to push the ball down the field. We need to do a number of things and having extra plays and some extra series, maybe because our opponent isn't scared enough to where they're going to try to drain the clock could really help us. So I'm hopefully looking forward to that because I'm just not a big fan of these new clock rules to start the season to this point.
No. No. I mean,
If I want to watch the NFL, then I'll
not
turn
only
on the
does it,
NFL. That's what they're trying to make is a
yeah,
mini NFL. And
but
like when you get
even
up
with
to,
the NFL, I feel good.
I was just saying when you get up 2 possessions in the NFL in the second half, it's like, not a guarantee, but like it makes it difficult to come back in the second half because the clock moves so fast, and I feel like that's what they're turning the SEC. The NCAA into, and I don't really like it. Like it wasn't broken; they didn't need to fix it. The games are still just as long because they run just as many commercials. In fact, they run more now because the games are lasting the same amount of time, but the clock is shorter. So I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it, but I guess there's nothing I can do to change it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that aren't really a big fan of it because we're kind of in that stage of. I'm sure it goes through waves, but I mean, we'll know once we get older if it does. But we're in a stage right now where everybody loves offense more so than defense. They want to see high scoring games and a lot of points up on the board. So, like you said, it's hard to do with the clock changes and stuff, and you lose those possessions and momentum and everything. But um, yeah, so I don't know. I like to see us do a lot on offense. I want to see the deep ball some. I want to see us run. I want everything. Everything's got to be worked on to this point. Get that confidence back. I think confidence is the key. Get the confidence back this week, and be ready for South Carolina. Because as we've seen, they're not going to be an easy task by any means. I feel like Austin Peay kind of exposed what works and what doesn't work, and then Florida kind of furthered that. They did the quick passes, the short passes, a lot of movement, and kept the sticks moving, but they also took their time when doing so to eat up the clock, and we're a fast moving team, so I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll
I
see what
think that
happens.
I, I
Looking
think
forward to
that
that.
the Austin P game is just kind of maybe just things were off and we were a little bored. And I think against Florida, we just kind of played on our heels. I still think that if we do what we're good at, which is blitz and bring pressure, it doesn't always have to be just straight up 7 people blitzing every play. But if we bring pressure, like it's going to solve some of that middle of the field stuff on defense. Like, yes, sometimes you're going to get burnt, and yes, sometimes they're going to hit some plays. But the more the quarterback's moving, and especially a quarterback that doesn't like to get hit, somebody like Rattler or something like that, like they're going to make mistakes. So you got to be aggressive on defense. But for offense this week, the thing that I really want to see is they need to push the ball to somebody. Like they need to target Brew 10 or 12 times. Like they need to get some confidence going. They need to use the middle of the field and let Joe work those intermediate routes, like 10 to 20 yards across the middle of the field, and let him get comfortable and really start to feel some of those throws and get a connection. I mean, it doesn't have to be Brew. It could be Thornton. It could be Squirrel. Like push the ball to somebody and establish somebody as a leader, a go-to guy, a playmaker like Hyde or Tillman was the last 2 years. Like get somebody feeling themselves, get somebody a huge game, and get somebody like establishing themselves as the leader, the go-to guy that isn't Joe. Because it's obvious Joe's the leader. Like everybody looks to Joe, and regardless of his performance, everybody likes Joe, and he's going to be the quarterback unless he gets hurt or we just lose like 5 games in a row. So people need to deal with that and realize that he's the best option we got right now. And somebody on the team needs to step up and help him, because even though he's a leader, it doesn't mean necessarily he's like the greatest player, but he's like the guy that needs to be there right now. So they need to find that playmaker, and somebody needs to step up and catch the ball when it's thrown to them, make a play after the catch, and really start to establish themselves as the guy. Like we need to do that with the passing game, because Jalen Wright is the guy at running back. Like when the going gets tough, he's going to be the guy that's in there. He's going to make plays. We need to establish a receiver that's going to do the same thing, because we had 2 of them on the same team last year, but they're both gone. So that's what I want them to do. They need to push the ball to somebody, and they need somebody to start making plays. If we can do that and Joe can gain his confidence, I mean, we can be fine. So that's what I want to happen this week. I want somebody to step up in the receiving core and be the guy.
Yeah. Watching, I feel like Brew McCoy is very comparable to Jawan Jennings, just kind of that hard nosed football. He'll do
Yeah, I like
whatever is
that.
asked of him, but he's kind of quiet with it. Like Juwan was a little more vocal about his play and everything, but you don't ever really see too much about Brew like in the media or anything like that. So I mean, he could definitely be that guy, but we almost need somebody who's kind of vocal like it. If you watch, over the last few years with Hyatt and Tillman and Jennings and stuff, like whenever they're in the media, like you'll see clips of it on social media afterwards, just because they're kind of taking that leadership role, and then the film speaks for itself in that aspect as well. So yeah, I don't know. We kind of like AB and Ben. You just need to force feed them at some point. Like we need that guy who at some point when it's clutch time, you got that guy, that safety blanket, and you can just work it into him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, somebody's got to step up. Somebody's got to be a playmaker. Like we've had enough drops. We've had enough feeling it out. Somebody needs to go for like 12 catches, 175 yards, a couple touchdowns, like throwing the ball and let them make a play. Not that I care anything about stats, but we need to build confidence, and like somebody needs to establish themselves as a guy that's going to catch the ball on 3rd and 8 in the SEC. Like somebody's got to step up and give somebody Joe feels confident and he knows every time he throws it to him he's going to catch it, because that's going to help your quarterback too. Like if the ball's a little behind you or in front of you, like catch the ball. Like this is the SEC. I'm not saying that you have to catch every single one, but I mean, you got to help your quarterback out. So somebody, that's what I want to see. I want to see somebody emerge this week as that guy.
Yeah, I'm real big if it hits you in the hands, especially both of them. Like you should catch the ball. I don't care if it's coming away from you or whatever. Like if you get both hands on it, especially with those dang gloves, like you should catch the dang ball. But that is what it is. But um, I mean, a lot of big teams already have, you know, preseason top 10, preseason top 25 have already have a loss. Like really, I mean, who would you say the dominant team is right now? Like, I mean, do you have to go with Georgia? Like, are they the best looking team to this point?
I mean, there really isn't a dominant team. I mean, Georgia's struggled against South Carolina. They haven't looked great against the other teams. Michigan's 3-0. They haven't looked great. Um, Ohio State struggled. Florida State, to me, probably I
Yeah,
would have said, but until they struggled against Boston College. So I don't know.
yeah,
I think this
yeah,
is good for the sport because I think parity's good for the sport. It's not good to me when like Georgia and Alabama are so much better than everybody else that there's not a competitive game. So I don't think that there is a dominant team, or I don't know who the best team is right now, and I'm completely fine with that. I hope it stays that way the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Let's see. Score prediction for Tennessee UTSA game. The spread is 20.5. What do you think it's going to be?
Um, I'm gonna say that we get it going this weekend. I'm gonna say, I mean, I think UTSA is gonna score some too because hopefully we'll get a chance to play some backups. Which I'm completely fine with. Like we need to get some guys some more experience because this is really the last chance until like UConn. So I'm gonna say we win like 42-20. I think that we're able to move the ball some, running and passing, but then maybe we give up a couple of scores later in the game while we're trying to play some younger guys, and maybe our second team offense can get a score too. So I'm gonna say 42-20, hoping that we're able to get the offense moving and get a bunch of possessions so that we're able to actually practice on some things.
That's crazy. How my prediction was 41-17. So an extra point and a field goal off from yours,
I'll
but
take either one.
I'm with you. I mean, yeah. I mean, we're at that point now to where we have to do that. We got to put those points up on the board and refine our identity from last year and show that this team is capable of moving the ball and scoring and playing some defense as well. So either way, if either of those outcomes come to be true, I think we'll be pretty happy with it. So, and if you're not, then you need to watch something else. Truthfully. Alrighty, that's all we got for this short Tennessee podcast. Tune in next time.